Today's topic is Michaelson-morley. Concept of ether. Since mechanical wave require a medium to propagate, in 19th century it was believed light wave also require a medium to propagate. The entire space, including vacuum, was supposed to be filled with a hypothetical medium called ether. Ether was supposed to be invisible, massless, perfectly transparent, perfectly non-resistive, highly elastic, and non-dense. All bodies, including Earth, could move freely through ether without disturbing it. Ether provide a fixed frame of reference called ether frame or rest frame or frame of absolute reference. Aim and objective of Michelson-Morley experiment. Aim. The experiment was performed to confirm the existence of ether. This experiment was also performed to determine the velocity of Earth with respect to ether. Experiment. The monochromatic source of light S is taken and the light rays become parallel after passing through a convex lens L . A semi-silvered glass P is kept in the path of the light ray. P is kept at the angle of 45 degree with the horizontal. When a ray of light fall on P, it is divided into two parts: the reflected part, ray 1, and the transmitted part, ray 2. Ray 1 and ray 2 travel to the mirror M1 and M2. M1 and M2 are heavily silvered. The ray after the reflection from them travel along the initial path and meet at P. M1 and M2 are equidistant from P. That is, M1P is equals to M2P is equals to L. Now there are two cases: if the setup is moving or the setup is at rest. When the setup is at rest, the ray 1 and ray 2 travel the same distance going from P to M1 and M2 respectively. They travel the same distance L after reflection from the two mirror. If the ray setup is at rest, the difference between the time taken by traveling from M1 P to M1 and P to M2 is equals to 0. If the particle if the entire apparatus is moving along with the earth, let us assume that the direction of the motion of the earth is in the direction of initial beam, that is M2. So lens L source of light S, rays becoming parallel after passing through the lens L, and since the apparatus is moving, the mirror will also move. M1 will change its position to M1 dash and M2 will change its position to M2 dash. P will change its position from P to P dash. According to the theory, when the setup is moving with respect to the ether, the optical path travelled by both rays are not equal. If the velocity of light and earth is c and v respectively, the total path of both the rays are not same anymore. Let the time taken by the transmitted ray 2 in travelling from P to M2 dash and from M2 dash to P dash be T2. T2 will be distance upon velocity c minus v plus distance upon c plus v. T2 is equals to 2L c by c square minus v square. Taking c square out, 2LC by c square, 1 minus v square by c square, we get 2L by c, 1 minus v square by c square. Naming this equation 1. The time taken by the light to go from P to M1 dash, the new position of M1, is T. Using Pythagoras theorem, P M1 dash square P M1 dash square is equals to P P dash square P P dash square plus P dash M1 dash square, which is CT square is equals to VT square plus L square. Velocity of light, velocity of earth. C square T square is equals to V square T square plus L square. Taking V square T square to the left hand side, C square minus V square, T square is equals to L square, T square is equals to L square by C square minus V square. Taking the C out, will be T is equals to L by C under root 1 minus V square by C square. Naming this equation 2. Therefore, time taken by the light to go from P to M1 and the time taken by light from P dash to M1 dash is T2, and T1 is equals to 2T, or T1 is equals to 2L by C under root 1 minus V square by C square. Now taking the difference between difference of time from T2 to T2 minus T1 is equals to 2L by C 1 minus V square by C square inverse minus 1 minus v square by c square. Now using the binomial is equals to 3 by c. Now using the binomial 1 plus v square by c square plus minus 1 minus 1 by 2 v square c square, and neglecting the higher powers, we get delta t is equals to lv square by c cube. Now the part difference between them is delta dash is equals to c delta t. Speed into the time difference, it is equals to c into lv square by c cube. Solving this, we get lv square by c square, and naming this equation as 5 and this equation as 4. So Michelson-Morley set an apparatus on the stone which they floated on a mercury. They first performed the experiment as shown in the figure, and then they rotated it by 90 degrees. So the total path difference comes out to be lv by c square minus lv square by c square is equals to 2 lv square by c square. Now the total part difference comes out to be 2 lv square by c square. Name this equation as 6. Before it was upwards and after it was downwards, the apparatus. Now interference. Interference, we have two kinds of fringes, that are dark fringe, bright fringe, dark fringe, bright fringe, dark fringe, bright fringe. If I go from first dark fringe to the second dark fringe, there is a shift of one fringe. And if I go from first bright fringe to the second bright fringe, there is a difference of one dark fringe. So the condition for bright fringe comes out to be delta is equals to n lambda, and for dark fringe it comes out to be delta is equals to 2n minus 1 n lambda by 2. Since we know that path difference changes by lambda for fringe shift of 1, therefore fringe shift observed by Michelson-Morley is n, where n is equals to delta by lambda, or substituting the equation, n is equals to 2 v square by c square lambda. Name this equation as 7. The experiment value by Michelson-Morley was L is equals to 11 meters, velocity is equals to 3 into 10 to the power 4 meter per second, orbital velocity of Earth. C, we all know, 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, and lambda comes out to be 5.5 into 10 to the power minus m meter. Therefore, calculated fringe shift of Michelson-Morley was 0.4. The observed fringe shift was 0. Since this experiment was repeated multiple times, the observed result never matched the calculation. It was concluded that ether does not exist. Now, explanation of negative results of ether drag hypothesis. Ether drag hypothesis was, according to this hypothesis, Earth drag ether along with it. So there is no relative velocity between the Earth and ether. Since this hypothesis does not justify the observed stellar's abbreviation and Fizeau's theory of particle drag of light wave by any moving object was rejected. Second negative results come out to be Fitz, Gerald, Lorentz interaction hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, there is a contraction in the length of the moving body along the direction of motion by the factor under root 1 minus v square by c square. Since this hypothesis was purely mathematical without any conceptual proof, it was rejected. Third negative result, constancy of velocity of light hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, the speed of light should not be considered relative to ether or any other frame but individual object. Therefore, this concept does not consider the entire universe but only certain object. It was rejected. Significance of negative results. Significance were ether cannot be detected, therefore it doesn't exist. The speed of light is constant and does not depend on the relative motion of the source or observer. A transformation equation is required as Galilean transformation equation failed for velocity comparable to the speed of light.